Hello everyone, and welcome to what should be a pretty short video on lighting. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about lighting because we already went over this in class, but this is just a brief recap of the things that we talked about. If you want to find a specific thing in this video, I'm going to try to keep things as partitioned as possible so that you can go back and find stuff easily, but again, because we already went over this, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about each thing. I have made some notes, though, when we talk about lighting. So when we talk about lighting in class, we talked about three different types of lights: a directional light, a point light, and a spot light. Directional light is what we start out with by default. The directional light represents the sun, and it lights the entire scene. So we can see here that no matter where I move this lamp or this light, the lighting doesn't change. This is because all the directional light controls is the angle that the sun is coming from. It doesn't actually control where the sun is. So because the sun is pointed, or the direction of this lamp is pointed sort of down to the left, that's where our shadows are cast, and that is where the light is coming from. If I were to rotate this guy, we can see that the shadows change because it's changing the direction of my directional light. So let's see what happens with a different type of light. I'm going to go down in here where there isn't much light right now because there's a shadow from this big tree. And in here, I'm going to drop in point light. There's our point light. Okay. So if we take a look at, our point light, it's not quite where I want it. We can see that it's casting light inside this shadow. A point light emits light evenly in all directions. And I'm going to use a point light to demonstrate some of the pieces of a light that we care about. So here we have three things. Intensity. We have three things in the lighting category that I want to make sure we talk about. First one is range. Range is this sphere that we see around the light. This is showing us the ultimate range of the light, how far the light reaches. So the maximum that this light can ever get to is the edge of this sphere. And by increasing our range, we increase the size of the sphere. Now you may notice, though, that it doesn't appear to be giving off a whole lot of light. So even though our maximum is way out of the sphere, it doesn't seem to really light this area all that well. That has to do with intensity. So range determines how far the light can go. Intensity determines how bright the light is. A higher intensity means that the light will fade slower. I'm going to keep it at 1 for now. So a point light, as I said, emits evenly in all directions. But one thing that it doesn't do is it doesn't show us the source of our light. So here, we can see that there's light on the ground, but we can't see any of the light that isn't hitting other objects. To do that, we use what's called a halo. So there's a little checkbox here that says draw a halo. If I check that, now I can see this haze, this foggy haze, that surrounds my light and shows how far the light will cast. And if I increase the intensity, my haze gets brighter. If I increase the range, not decrease, if I increase the range, my halo gets bigger. So you can see how we can use range and intensity to modify the way that our light looks. You'll also notice that if we're zoomed in too close to a lamp, we cannot see its halo. We can only see its halo if we've gone back a certain distance. Okay, so that's pretty much everything we need to know about lights. Oh wait, spotlights. We gotta do spotlights. Spotlights are, get rid of the halo. Spotlights are a type of light that shine only in one direction. So we can see right now that my spotlight is pointed to the right. If I turn this spotlight back towards this hill here, see that we only get light in one particular direction. And we're going to use spotlights to attempt our final part of the lesson, which is a cookie. So I'm going to find an image on Google Images. Okay, so I have added a Google Plus logo image here. What we want to do is apply this image so that it shows up in our scene. So what we're going to do is normally when we add an image, or it shows up on our lamp, normally when we add an image, it's imported as a default 2D texture. So what I've done here is I've selected the image, I've gone to Inspector, and I can see what my texture type is. I want to change this to be a cookie. I want that cookie to have a type that corresponds to the lamp that I'm using. So in this case, I'm using a spotlight, so this is going to stay spotlight. And I want to make sure that if it's a black and white image, I use from grayscale for my alpha source, and I'm going to hit apply. So now this is a cookie texture, and all we have to do is add it to our spotlight. So on our spotlight where it says cookie, none, I am going to drag my cookie texture onto my lamp. And we can see that I get a shadow that uses this texture. And if we move my spotlight, see that the logo either grows or shrinks depending on how close I am to the object. Now I could do some trimming on this image to get it so that these weird lines aren't here. If I had more time or we're spending more time on the video, I could do some modifications to the image itself. But as long as we have a black and white image, we can apply any image as a cookie. All right, so that's our brief overview of lighting. Hopefully between this and what we talked about in class, that should give you plenty of options to use when lighting your scene. Thanks for watching.